Welcome everyone to the Tier 1 race for F1 2022. Tier 1, our most competitive tier, here with Phoenix, where all of our drivers will be racing with no assists. The only assists enabled are the racing line, and then obviously you have your manual gearing with suggested gears, but still restricted to manual. So we are just getting ready for that now. Players are in the lobby and ready to go, just getting sorted out. Before we get on with the stream, I'd like to remind you all, we are affiliated with Rogue Energy. Go to rogueenergy.com and use PHX at checkout for 10% off of your order. I need to get my fair share of Rogue Energy still. And for today's stream, I am joined by the one and only last year's champion and current defending. Last year's champion for Tier 2, Pinax. Hi, Pinax.
Hello.
It's nice to have you here.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Looking forward for the Tier 1 race, which I think it's going to be spicy because
Tier 2, Who doesn't want to watch Tier 1?
Yeah, like all the tiers were crazy in terms of what happened. And Tier 1 is the greatest. And I think it's going to be even more exciting.
And it's a full grid.
You're right. Yeah, it's a full grid. Who doesn't want to watch Tier 1?
Exactly. Right. I was expecting Nadeem to join, but I feel like Nadeem either has forgotten or, understandably so, was frustrated from the Tier 2 race. So I believe it'll just be me and you, and I do look forward to having you here for the commentating.
Yeah. I think Nadeem is...
He's gone to sleep.
The Bosnia game, probably.
That would make sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I think two people are enough to commentate.
Here we go. Austria, for those of you who may not know this, it is Austria with predicted rain at the end of the race. So qualifying is currently overcast with dynamic weather, so there is a chance for it to go clear, and there is a chance for it to be absolutely spitting it down with every drop of rain you can think of. Then for the race, it will start nice, clear, sunny skies to a dynamic midsection with a guaranteed heavy rain. So we will have the inters or the wet tyres coming out onto the cars. So those will be the green or the blue walled tyres. It's a matter of, with that dynamic middle section to the race, whether the rain comes in at lap 4 or at lap 30, which is the case for basically every race so far this weekend.
It's looking really cloudy, by the way. It's just the start of the qualifying and the clouds are all over the place.
I love overcast. I prefer racing in overcast because it's dry, but you don't have the reflection of the sun in your eyes.
Exactly. Turn 1 is... Oh, it's already raining. The rain has already started.
There's the dynamic racing.
Yeah.
So drivers have got to get their laps in now. Because as soon as that water drops and hits on the ground, settles on the ground, soft tyres, any soft tyre laps will be unbeatable in those on those inters. So Trexie being the first across the line for a hot lap. Let's see if Trexie can put in an absolute stellar lap before that rain comes down even harder.
There's already a really strong...
There is a lot of rain. This is definitely getting interesting already.
Yeah, rain and traffic is...
It is overcast the dynamic. Viper, it is overcast the dynamic. And I guess dynamic has decided to kick in a lot earlier than anyone was anticipating.
It really has. And Arto is following Trexie really close. I wonder if his lap will be any better than Trexie's. And Arturo with the fastest sector too. Interesting stuff.
Definitely looks as though the rain's already affecting Trexie's lap, but that can just be a spectating bug. As we all know, F1 is designed by the best game company out there, EA. Thank you, EA.
Thank you, EA, once again. Exactly.
Time to beat.
And yes.
It was a 106.3. Now it's a 105.7.
Arturo was indeed faster.
Next cross line
Trexie have
spelled
them.
wrong, 106. I give up. We're trying to catch up with all the timings because it's been beaten again. Rico
And
again
again,
beaten by
yeah.
the other Haas, a 105.3. Drivers best get their laps in now. If that dynamic weather continues to get heavier, it will be tough to beat those times. There it is. It's
And
rain weather.
DRS is
Confirmed
disabled.
DRS has been disabled. So any driver trying to beat a 105.3 will certainly struggle with that lack of DRS, with that lack of drag reduction system where the rear flap opens, and drivers will have increased speed because obviously down a straight you don't want to have too much drag. You want to have the best pace possible by opening that rear flap. The wind will flow easier and quicker around your car, and you will gain, I think it was like, as Dante spins coming out of one of the corners, unfortunately. I think in real life racing, you gain about 10 to 15 kilometers per hour, I want to say, is the number that comes to mind around Austria. So it certainly is a
About the
huge
same.
increase in pace with that DRS open.
And the DRS lines being on really long straights, like it affects your quality time by so much. So
So much
I don't
indeed,
think
yeah.
anyone can beat uh, a 0.6, to be honest. Like not even 0.5.
We'll have
Yeah,
to see.
Amsolt is
I
on a lap.
think comfortably all those who have set a lap time of a 106.5 or more, as we see the Williams driver coming out of the corner and losing his car and now losing his front wing, will not set a lap this time round. But yeah, I think all those who have set a 110 or less lap time, I don't think they're gonna kind of come out for another lap if it's raining as much as it is. I think the only people who can improve on their lap time will be those of Zoltz, Dante, Uber, and Derry OG.
Exactly, you're on a good point, because Amsolt's lap time is a 0.9, which can be improved maybe on Inters. I'm not quite sure on that, but who knows, maybe he'll try.
It'll be interesting if they can improve by a second, though, on the Inters,
Yeah,
to at least
it will be
take
really interesting.
14th. But this is the first qualifying session of this weekend where it is raining, and JP is coming out for a lap. I think he's going out for a lap on the soft, so that is... Oh, wait, no.
That's interesting.
He's done that. He's not got a front wing. Never mind, he was going to come out, but he's got no front wing.
Oh, okay.
And Spinny, aka Shanae, for those of you who don't know, has retired from the race, and I'm not surprised. I do suspect that we'll have half the grid retiring very soon, considering beating these lap times is nigh impossible with those green wool tyres.
Maybe just see Amsolt or the remaining last 3 people.
We have a
Try
Mercedes out
giving
on
it a lap.
track.
Oh, indeed, we have a Mercedes on intermediate tires. He was already in P3, but I think he's gonna try and beat his 0.5
I
lap.
wonder if he can. I don't know what the lap times are for the intermediates, but it'll be interesting to see if he does manage to improve. That'll be one hell of a lap, a 105.5 on
It really
intermediates.
will
I'll be
be.
impressed as hell.
But I doubt it will happen because DRS and the traction you have on softs are really unmatchable.
We got Trexie and Maverick out as well on the inters. Fudge as well. People are coming out on those inters. They feel like they can improve those lap times.
Indeed.
That's what I thought, Armin. Armin saying it, inters are about 12 seconds slower, and I assumed that inters you're going to have at least like 4 or 5 seconds easily lost in the corners.
Exactly.
So it'll be interesting to see what these drivers think they can do with those cars, with those tires. After I'm on a hot lap, on those softs. No, he's not on softs. My bad. He's on inters. I was going to say that is a very brave man if he's on softs in this rain.
So Arto is 8/10 slower than his previous lap in Sector 1 so far. I think the difference will probably be like 5 seconds max, or like 2 seconds minimum.
Probably pains. That would make sense that they're just trying to practice the conditions instead of improving. But it would still be impressive if someone does go out to try and improve and they do improve. Like, if they do that, I retire from racing. Well, I clearly don't deserve to be racing if you guys can improve a soft compound lap on Inters.
I will retire as well. Like, that will be incredible to see. But yeah, he was 3.5 seconds slower than his previous lap, and he,
6 seconds slower, so yeah, I think it would just be a matter of understanding the track in this weather.
Yeah, more like it.
Because unfortunately, when it comes to practice, the best you can do is time trial, so you can do the perfect dry conditions or the perfect full wet conditions, but you can't practice inters on time trial. The only way you can practice inters is by going into an online multiplayer online session. I've said online twice there. Or starting a open lobby and setting the weather manually to be light rain throughout the whole race. It's the only way to practice. But then you're practicing with full fuel.
Can't you do that on Grand Prix mode? On single player? I think you can.
Maybe. I don't know.
But still, it's in limited ways you can practice intermediate conditions. So
Yeah. Well, now we
I
get
think
to
it'll be
enjoy the lovely views of our drivers practicing laps during qualifying instead of trying to improve laps, which is typically what qualifying is for.
it's like F1 testing all over again.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's
Except
fun.
at Austria instead of Spain.
Yeah,
Or Bahrain, rather.
yeah. I rather much prefer Austria. I mean, I love Bahrain, but Austria has something special, not gonna lie.
Austria is fun. The only issue I have with Austria is the uphill right-hander, because I always lose the rear end of my car, and
Yes.
then going into the pits, because I always lose my front wing. Either I lose my front wing or an end plate, which is essentially like you've lost your front wing.
Yeah, both are really the struggles of Austria. Like turn 3 is a really strange corner. I don't know. I had a lot of struggle in the tier 2 race as well. And I think many drivers will have some issues on turn 3 as well because there's no assists on tier 1. And since F1 22 is really punishing on traction and accelerating, and turn 3 is also really punishing when it comes to that. So it'll be really interesting to see what's going to happen at tier 3.
Couple of new drivers to point out for the race tonight. We've got ourselves Painstead, currently reserving in for my team, Ferrari. We've got No Sense reserving in for Mercedes. Fudge, who isn't reserving, but is a newly signed McLaren driver, as unfortunately Chris V, who was previously a Tier 1 driver, has had to retire. And then the rest of the grid are all full-time drivers. So
I think
some new faces, some old faces.
Trexie is
Trexie's a Tier 2 driver,
doing that
isn't
as
he?
well. Yeah, he's a tier 2
So
driver.
Trexie is well reserving into Tier 1.
Yeah, exactly. He's reserving for his own team currently, AlphaTauri, and he's on P8. He
And
was
we've got
P9 in the tier 2 race.
And we've got ourselves 3 team principals racing on the track today as well. We've got ourselves Maverick, who's the team principal for McLaren. We've got Zoltz for AlphaTauri. And we have ourselves, I've forgotten who the third one is, Shanae for Williams. So some team principals wanting to get their hands on the wheel themselves instead of getting the car perfect for their drivers. Gravy is quite a quick driver, I have to say. For Jeddah, he was having a superb race. Unfortunately, there was an incident with a McLaren during the race towards the final few laps of that race. But this Gravy guy for Alfa Romeo is a very good driver. I've seen some very good battles from him. I think so. Before he had the collision with the McLaren at Jeddah, Gravy was in the midst of a 5-car battle for third place for about 10 to 15 laps easily. So Gravy is certainly, I don't know if he's quick, but he's certainly a very consistent and very clean driver. So I do look forward to seeing what he has to offer around Austria this time around.
Gonna be really interesting because the time difference between. Oh, okay, never mind. I was looking at the wrong times. I was looking at Payne's time, which is really close to Sinead's time. I was going to say, wait, like these times are really close. But well, we were talking about Gravy, so my point is not really working anymore. Sad.
Here we go. Can the yellow flag? Thank you. We got 3. This is the second time now I've asked for the yellow flag to go away, and we're at 3.5 minutes. Wonderful. But we're at 3.5 minutes for qualifying, where we get to enjoy the practice session for the drivers and the Inters. As I mentioned previously, the race will start with sunny and clear skies. The midsection of the race will have dynamic weather, so the sun could go on up until the last point of the lap, the last lap of the race, or it could go until, let's say, the 7th lap before the heavy rain that has been put in for the final part of this race to come in. We're ready for Tier 5, 4, 3, and 2. The rain came in at around 25 laps into the race. 25 to 30 laps into the race is when the raindrops started to hit the ground. So we'll have to see if the dynamic weather this time around will be the same as our previous tiers, or are we going to have the rain hit very early on? And personally, I would love to see it hit early on, because I don't think anyone's expecting it to happen. Tier 2 is 27, 28, there you go. So yeah, it's roughly in that window of late 20s to early 30s for the rain.
I have a feeling that it'll hit pretty much earlier than previous tiers for Tier 1. It'll make things even more interesting.
Considering that the rain for qualifying came in after one hot lap, not even one hot lap was complete, I think it might come in early. Exactly. It'll be interesting to see.
For Tier 2, the rain was there around 27th lap, and the DRS was disabled on the 30th lap, lap 30. So, yeah, if the rain comes earlier, it'll make things even more interesting than the previous races.
Indeed.
Because the medium tires are at a puncture rate around lap 27, I believe. 26, 27.
That'd make sense, roughly. But also to know, I've only just noticed this, but Derry OG, who did not put in a lap at the start of qualifying, has managed to put in a lap and take 17th place, although not being able to put in a lap on the soft compound tyres, still managing to put one up to take one position from another driver.
That's really a great effort, actually.
Every position counts, especially for this race. Exactly. In my opinion, you are better off starting on the outside, the inside, so 2nd place and onwards, because you can attack more. The inside line in most corners, I don't know about this track, I know in my experience, I don't like taking the inside line because I've lost plenty of front wings, but in most corners and most tracks, having the inside line certainly does help you fight for the corner, fight for the position with ease.
I prefer the outside line on this track than the inside for some reason, because turn 1 is I don't want to be on the inside line for turn 1 because you never know what's gonna happen on the outside, and you might end up being spun around or pushed to like I don't know something because turn one is really narrow and
Turn one's horrible. It's an uphill. I don't
it
like
is
uphill.
yeah, it is a blind I guess uphill. It's a safe corner, not safe. It's a fast corner as well.
And to
So
end the session, Uva puts in a lap time that now improves and beats the Williams driver. And so now Uva is up in 17th place as we now close out the qualifying session. Who are we waiting for? We're waiting for the aforementioned Uva in the Alpine to get around the
battle
track and
has
get to the
already
line.
started.
I have to say I've never been in a qualifying session where more than half the grid has already retired from the race before the end of the lap, end of the session.
Yeah,
So
it's actually interesting.
certainly an interesting session.
Like there are more people than I thought there will be because of the rain. I thought everyone will just retire and ready up for the race, but the opposite happened. Actually, people
Practice makes
practice.
perfect.
Yeah, exactly. A Haas 1-2 in front of the grid, and
Yes, a Haas
the P3
1-2,
is Mercedes.
and then a Ferrari lockout, Ferrari sister team lockout on the third row. We got Pains in the Ferrari and Gravy in the Alfa Romeo. With their teammates Kudos in 9th place and Sinister in 14th. The Aston Martins, I have to say, I was not expecting them to be towards the back of the grid. Whilst the rain
Exactly.
did come in early, I was still anticipating at least the McLarens or Aston Martins to be in contention of the top 10, but they're both out of the top 10.
Yeah, the traffic really then gave them much time to set on a good lap in such a small amount of time, I guess. But let's see if they can manage to show their real pace in the race, because we both know that they have some good pace.
Gene would be happy with this. Gunter
He
would
will
be
be proud,
swearing like a
wouldn't
Viking.
he? Yeah,
I have to see now. We've got the race. This is where it all comes down. 36 laps of racing. No safety car, so no safety net. If a driver makes a mistake, they have to recuperate and recover from that. And I've just realised now we have the T-posing engineers again, similar to that of
I,
Tier
s-
2.
I
Wonderful.
saw that first time. Wow, that's funny.
That is, I've never seen that before, honestly.
Yeah, I've never seen that actually. Yeah, they're T-posing. That's hilarious. Wow, he has mechanics looking good.
All of them. They're just standing strong, showing off their true colours.
Exactly.
Welcome to the waiting part of the lobby, where we get to enjoy the sweet silence of EA taking its sweet time and giving everyone connection issues because EA is amazing. Thank you, EA. You are brilliant at programming games. I'm looking forward to F123. I'm also not looking forward to the number of bugs that they'll have.
Same, honestly. Like it can't get worse than 22. I hope it's not gonna get worse than 22, because every time it gets just worse and worse every time. Like after
Indeed.
2020, it's just a downhill for F1 games.
21 was not bad. 20, I quite enjoyed
Yeah,
21.
yeah. Like
22 is
compared
an
to
absolute
22,
landslide downhill.
exactly. Compared to 22, I'll take 21 any day. Like 22 is just EA being EA.
And to my surprise, as we look at the tyre compounds for everyone, almost everyone has opted for the hard compound tires. We only have, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers going for the medium compound tires, whereas everyone else has gone for the hards. And I suspect that will be a lot of people opting to go for a one-stop strategy, going for the hards and hoping that the rain comes in soon enough to pit for those for the internet troubles. Oh my god, my words, for those inters, not internet.
If the rain comes
Let's see if
earlier,
we
the
can get
medium
you in.
runners will be happy, probably, if they make some overtakes before the rain comes. But if that doesn't happen, I think hard runners are in for a really safe race if they can pull it off without any mistakes.
Indeed. Are we going to see a very... That's a very odd angle for
Yeah,
Rico up into first place. I don't know, I think he was trying to avoid the Mercedes. I don't know. Very interesting angle to go for the start of the race.
I'm
Everyone else
surprised he
behind
didn't
them seems to be going
get
in
a penalty
straight
for
gone.
that.
Oh no, we've got an Alfa Romeo angling inwards, Alpha Tauri as well. I think that's Maverick. No, Fudge angling slightly. Mercedes angling inwards. I don't understand Rico. Rico's gone for a very odd angle here. And I can't imagine why he would want to do that. But here we go. 3, 2, 1, and 5 red lights. I can count, I promise. And away we go. Now? Now, there we
We
go. Very
go.
slow, very tentative start for the hard runners at the front. But I think Rico gets a very good start, but the Williams behind him has got a good start as well. Mercedes finds himself up into second place. Those mediums are working well. So far, lap 1 seems quite clean. No drivers seem to have spun out just yet. The two Hasses have lost out on their 1-2, and the Mercedes trying to go around the outside. Unfortunately, not getting that grip that they want. Slightly further back, we've got a 3 wide. We've got a Ferrari, a Haas, and a Williams going into the second sector now. Still going 3 wide. No collision. There's the collision between the Ferrari
Yeah,
and the Haas, just as I say it.
it
There
was
is a
bound to
collision
happen.
between them. Slightly further down the grid, let's have a look. Doesn't look like much has changed. Unfortunately, Maverick finds himself down into 17th place. So there definitely has been either some sort of collision or unfortunate circumstances for Maverick to be so far behind. Now the Mercedes driver, who started on the mediums and qualified third place, now finds himself leading the race. Enrico now stuck just behind Shiny. Shanae, I can't pronounce his name now because of the Spinay in there, finds himself up into third place, and Ferrari up into fourth place. Pains with those hard compound tyres. Those mediums really have given the Mercedes a brilliant start to the race, but the mediums only last around 15 to 17 laps. So I'm curious to know what kind of strategy he's going to go for to try and make this work before that rain comes in.
Oh, Dante makes a move, but he locks up, and a little collision between Dante and Maverick on the back of the grid.
And we've got the other... oh, there's a collision between the
Oh,
Williams and the
Maverick is
McLaren.
out.
Two drivers out. A massive collision between the two of them. Two
That
drivers
was
out of this race in the second lap.
a huge
In that
crash.
second sector. It looks like Maverick's car was about to flip. Honestly, that was...
It was about to flip, yeah. Almost.
I don't know, Nadim. It looks like the Alpine was trying to make a move around the outside, but unfortunately, there was a massive collision between the two of them. There it is, DRS
Credit to the
enabled
Williams,
now. All
though.
drivers within a second of the car in front of them will have that rear wing open, as you can see with that Haas driver there. In fact, all of the drivers, a massive DRS train. Will have that drag reduction system open, and that will give them the extra boost and the extra speed that they may need to defend or attack for a position, as Uwe gets a position into 12th place over results into the corner. Sinister at the back, I believe, had a bit of a spin, didn't quite see what happened there.
Yeah, I think he
Fortunately
lost
now
it
finds himself a
on
sector
exit point three.
behind. That was a massive collision. That came from nowhere. I was not anticipating that at all.
It was
Very,
honestly,
very spicy start.
yeah. Unfortunate for McLaren,
Very
but
unfortunate. Kudos finding
yeah.
himself up a position now, up into 7th place. So far, the driver to note, though, Uver, the Alpine driver who started in 17th place, who unfortunately did not get a lap in during the dry weather, now finds himself up into 12th place. It's 5 positions up from where he qualified. And he is on those
Yeah.
mediums, so certainly those tyres are giving him a huge advantage over those hard compound runners around him.
Good effort from him, not gonna lie. And he gets the DRS, just barely gets the DRS for the next DRS line.
I'm still stunned by that collision. Honestly, I'm just trying to work out what happened. Slightly further back,
Yeah,
though, the other McLaren, currently 3 tenths off of Zoltz just ahead of him. 3 cars, Dante, Fudge, and Zoltz fighting for 13th place now at the back of the grid. Still a lot to come. There are 32 laps in this race, so still lots to happen. Still rain to happen as well. So 13th place now could be 3rd place at the end, who knows?
exactly. Dante is just waiting for the right time behind the McLaren and the AlphaTauri. He might just go through, but oh! He
Slightly further ahead, we got Sense fighting Pains. The Ferrari tried to go for a move into the corner now. Unfortunately, cannot make the move coming out of it, but he will have DRS. He looks to go for a move around the outside. Missy as well, trying to capitalize on this overtake from the Mercedes driver right on the gearbox of the Ferrari. Uver as well, slightly further back, making a move through the second sector, through that 4th corner, ahead of JP now up into 11th place, and rapidly climbing his way up through the pack. I think in a couple lap times we'll have an Alpine fighting Trexie soon. Nadim, welcome to the commentary box. What do you think of that massive incident that happened in the second lap there?
I don't believe what I saw there. That was absolutely insane. I just saw McLaren flying through the air there. Absolute massive contact. I think definitely gonna be some
Without doubt, a
discussion about what
report.
happened. Yeah, there. Definitely, I don't think both drivers are ever so happy.
Sorry to cut you off there, but Kudos is now having to defend from Spald Wrong, who goes for a move down the inside. He had the DRS help. Kudos getting a brilliant exit, though. He will have DRS to fight back, finds himself 3 tenths behind. Fortunately, I do not think he's going to be close enough into this corner to try and fight back. Go on, Nadim.
Yeah,
Someone's... The Mizzy, the Haas driver has had an incident, and you can see his front wing in the middle of the track.
he has no front wing.
Now, Mizzy will have to pit for what I would assume would be mediums at this point in the race to try and recover from such an incident. Now, loads of drivers promoting up a position. Trexie finds himself just half a second behind now as Shanae finds himself with a 3-second track limits warning. Or track limits penalty, sorry.
Goes really close on the P1 Mercedes R2, but he's not that close to overtake him just right now. But I wonder what happened to Mizzy there.
I think he might have spun into the wall.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because it looks like I don't think there was any contact with any other driver because there was no position change for anybody else. I think he made a error himself. It's very tricky.
Dante making a move down the inside around Fudge. Very, very good move in a corner that we've seen plenty of times in real life racing. Hamilton having his fair share of collisions through that corner, so very impressive driving by them all.
Yeah, I think
the understeer hits on the inside line of that
our
turn.
leader got a 3-second time penalty there. Oh my god.
Not him in work.
Our Thuo has now got a 3-second time penalty, and yeah, only he's on the mediums as well, so not great stuff for the Mercedes man. He's not gonna be on the back foot here.
And he has less ERS than the following guys behind him, which will make him vulnerable sooner than later. But for now, he's still leading. Rico is not making a move.
Kudos making a move down the inside on Spalthrong. A very feisty fight between the two drivers. I feel like this could be a battle to go on for a few laps.
I think it's better for Kudos to let him go if he's faster than him, because he's on mediums. He's on such a different strategy. So if he plays for the longer game, he'll win eventually, but for now, Kudos seems to be faster, and he's in front of the Red Bull guy.
That's a Ferrari 5.6 as well.
Exactly. Really good results so far for Ferrari.
And I'll say this now as a Ferrari team principal, I will not be giving any team orders. No, no, no. I want my drivers to fight, but fight fairly. It is far too early for team orders to even be considered, for no championship is won just yet. Slightly further behind, we've got Fudge catching up to Dante. He's got that DRS, but is he going to make a move now? He's not. He's going to wait for the second DRS straight. He's going to go for the better exit. He doesn't appear to have had a perfect exit, but he will have that advantage. Fortunately, that horrible exit does not find himself attacking that position. Sinister having a spin. Fortunately, no damage to his car, now in 16th place. And Mizzy up into 15th place. Though, back of the grid, still in this race, still plenty of time for lots to happen. We've already seen a massive collision that we never thought we'd ever see. So, you know, who knows what could happen.
Exactly.
But we are now
So
seeing the groups of drivers. We've got a three-way battle first, a four-way battle for 6th place. Kudos with the trainer cars behind him. Then we've got Fudge and Dante fighting for 12th place. And every driver in their own area. Rico going for a move down the inside with that DRS and now into the braking zone. He is comfortably ahead of the Mercedes driver. Rico, who qualified first, now is back at the top and leading the pack now.
Such a great move by
Fudge
Rico.
going side by side with Dante. Dante with the DRS. Fudge trying to stick round the outside and still manages to fight it and keep that position.
From Fudge. Wow. From
That
the
is
outside.
brilliant driving through that sector.
That was indeed. But he makes a mistake now, and Dante is side by side now, and he's very well in front of Fudge.
Well, we do have ourselves 3 DRS zones coming up for Fudge.
And darkness, can you see the clouds getting a little bit?
I can see some clouds.
Yeah.
Interesting to see what clouds come in as we have Arthurem fighting Shanae into the second corner now. Fighting for second place, both of them with DRS. So it's just a drag race down to the 4th corner now. Shanae looking to go for a move down the outside. He does stick his car there, but unfortunately does not quite have the grip to be able to maintain that position. Spalled wrong, going for a move on Painsdead. Looks like a possible collision between the two drivers. Now, unfortunately, sorry, not Painsdead, sorry, Kudos finding himself down 3 places. Spalled wrong up into 6th place. Gravy and Trexie up into 7th and 8th. So now Kudos is at the back of this DRS train fighting for 6th place.
And also there was a collision between Fudge and Dante in the back of the grid. They both spin, but they're still ongoing with the race.
It's always good. Hopefully no damage to either driver. Of course, there are no assists in this tier, so one small move to damage the side pod, damage the front wing. Some of that is repairable. Some of it, you cannot repair.
He's going
My
for a
Ferrari
move.
driver at Jeddah last week had an incident where he lost... he had irreparable damage to his rear wing. As we see Trexie going for a move and Gravy going for a move around the Red Bull driver. 3 wide as the Gravy, unfortunately getting onto the power on that yellow curb, spins out and fortunately keeps his car out of the wall. but now finds himself down into 11th place. Very unfortunate for him. Trexie now trying to make a move. Now Trexie
no.
involved in a collision with Spald Wrong. Trexie now down to 9th and possibly yet 10th place. Gravy as well. Kudos
So
back up
unlucky
into
for
6th
him.
place, and now Ferrari 5-6 again. Uwe, who qualified 17th, this is what I mean, qualified 17th, but is now up into 7th. So may have started back of the grid, but is now fighting for a good handful of points. Gravy now into the pits. I would assume he has front wing damage, so unfortunate to see for the Alfa Romeo driver. Second time now where he has been involved in an incident and has to pit far earlier for his strategy.
Maybe
Unfortunately, Ashley,
retires.
he retires in the pits. He has had enough of this race. That is Alfa Romeo pain indeed. Alfa Romeo with one driver out and the other driver sitting in 16th place, soon to be 15th place now. Very unfortunate to see. As we go on with the other drivers, we've got Uwe 0.2 seconds behind Shanae as well, 0.2 behind Arthur, fighting for 2nd place. Plenty of fights still going on. We've only just reached 1/3 into the race.
And I think Rain is
Rain
gonna
seems
be
to be
close.
very close, yeah. I was going to say, it's gotten very, very cloudy now. So we see
Exactly.
there Shanae with the DRS going for a move down the inside. Can he make the move? He does. He's got his car there. But
Little
unfortunately,
squeeze by Arturo.
got a bit of a
but-
squeeze indeed and could not make the move. They will both have DRS, and Shanae with the speed. And surely the tyre advantages at this stage of the race now will find himself going round the outside. But still fighting. Artuam refusing to give up the position so easy. And now has that 2nd place still in his pocket. Going further behind, we've got Fudge fighting down the inside. Onto Dante. Can he make the move? He tries, but unfortunately there is a collision between the two of them, and Fudge not able to make that move successful. But he does have that DRS. He's going to go for it again down the inside. Can he get it done? He's got it done plenty of time? Well before the braking zone. Sorry. It's a very good move by the McLaren driver. Going back ahead to the front of the pack, we got Shanae fighting again. He's got DRS, he's got that tyre advantage at this stage of the race. He's almost pushing that Mercedes driver ahead. He's going for an outside move. But I think he's going to go for the switchback here.
True.
He's definitely got the better exit. He's going to have that pace advantage. Is he going to be able to be close enough? He's not going to be close enough at all,
Not
unfortunately,
really.
this time round. This is certainly going to be a battle to go on for a few laps, without a doubt.
Exactly. Dante going on a move. Fudge on turn 3. He's on the outside.
Very close between the two of them.
Missed the breaking point a little bit, but has a better exit. And with the help of the DRS, I think he's gonna be... And the rain has started.
Has it?
It does, yeah. Rain
Yes,
is
it has.
here.
It is starting to rain already on lap 16. Dynamic weather is bringing the rain in a lot earlier than the hard compound runners were expecting. So those on the mediums have coped brilliantly so far, and if the rain continues to pick up, it might just start raining before we hit lap 20, and those green wool tyres, or even blue wool tyres, the inters and the wets, will be on the cars shortly. I mean, you called it, Pinex. I mean, the rain came in so early for qualifying, it was bound to come in early for the race.
It really was bound to. But it makes things even more interesting because Arto, who was on mediums, is still holding on brilliantly till this lap, and he's still keeping Shanae at obey as well, so...
There it is, DRS is disabled, it is official, we are into the wet stages of this race, Mitzi being the first one to go for those inters, starting in 14th place. No one else in, oh no, here we go, Artuam and Shanae back to back, no sense as well, it's going to be a Mercedes double stack into the pits. for those
to fight.
inters.
Oh,
Surely that is going to be a very slow stop for the second Mercedes. There he is waiting for a while. Kudos staying out as Paynes goes in for the first stop for Ferrari. Spaldrung and Uva, JP as well, all into the pits. That is... There we go, there's a Mercedes coming out. Fortunately, not a very slow stop, but certainly did not help at all. Uva in the pits. There we go. We've got white and green wool tyres out on the track. In fact, we've only got 2 drivers on those hard compound tyres, and that is because they did not want to go in for a double stack. If we look further behind, I think, yeah, Zoltz was waiting for his teammate. Dante was waiting for his teammate as well, momentarily. Fudge, unfortunately, had to change his front wing. Fudge going on to the mediums. So very unfortunate strategy failure there for the McLaren driver. Hopefully he doesn't lose too much time with the incorrect compound there. Now Rico and Kudos currently leading the race and in second place. With Sinead just 1.5 seconds behind. There goes Rico. Can Kudos make it home in time and not get any damage to his car? Be able to pit and still come back in this race for a potential...
They're really close.
Oh,
Kudos
managing to keep
wide.
out of the way. Missing the pits, but managing to stay clear of the drivers around him. Rico now coming out of the pits. Where's Sinead coming down? Is it going to be a fight for
Really
the lead of the
close.
race, or will Rico continue to maintain the lead? It's going to become very close between the two of them. Sinead up to speed and Rico up to speed, going too wide. Now a drag race to the first corner. Sinead with the outside line. Who is going to have the lead of the race coming out of this corner? And with the inside line, he will continue to maintain that lead. And Rico has managed to stop perfectly. Kudos coming out in 9th place. That's
brilliant from Rico, honestly.
That is very good. Sinead, it looks as though Sinead is pushing him along in that second sector now. But unfortunate to see that out of all of the drivers, Fudge being the only one to have the unfortunate strategy failure coming out on those mediums. He will now find himself down into 15th place, potentially, now as he pits for those inters. Rico continuing to keep that lead of the race, now coming into the end of the first lap for him on those inters for his outlap.
So, the question is,
how long can they last?
Get worse?
And how worse will they get? Yeah, I want to know how long inters can last. Because I don't think anyone's practiced that.
Yeah, but I think they can last till the end easily.
But then it comes to your question, how heavy is it going to get? It is set to the heaviest setting, so are we going to have another pit for everyone for those full wets?
But it was really early, and we still have 16 laps of racing. Even more, 17 laps. And by the looks of it, at least that's what I feel like, the track seems to get even more wet than usual.
It does certainly look to be getting heavier, as Rico almost has a moment trying to put the power down onto the curb. Fortunately, managing to control his car and continue on in first place. See, as much as I love rain races, I also despise it because there's no DRS. There's so few overtaking opportunities. There's no different strategies. It is just down to the driver and how fast can they drive. As Kudos unfortunately gets himself a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Pardon me, why have I got hiccups? So we have a yellow flag at the back. I think Mitzi, unfortunately, having a bit of a spin in this rain weather, similar to that of his teammate up into first place.
Also, by the looks of it, Paynes is looking for a potential podium right now, since Arturo has a 8-second time penalty.
8 seconds? Did he speed in the pit lane?
Yes, he did.
I did not see that.
Yeah, he did, and it may be a Ferrari podium this race.
Very good track. Good track. Very good. I can't work out what word I was going for there. Good catch. There we go. Got there in the end.
Yeah. Third time's the charm, right?
Exactly. Trexie, currently the last driver on the grid to collect that last point available as Rico gets a 3-second time penalty. At this current rate, Paines is on the potential for a race victory with a number of penalties that the drivers ahead of him have. He just has to cut down that gap as much as he can and also keep it as clean as possible. It is the rain. I say that now as kudos. Unfortunately, the other Ferrari has a bit of a moment coming out of that final corner, or into that final corner,
Such
and finds
unfortunate
himself
things for
down
kudos.
into 10th place. Fortunately, not losing too many positions, only losing that one position. So still 1 point. You know, every point counts to the championship, especially for the constructors. Ferrari's
Exactly.
going to win it one season. I will be the team principal to bring it to that.
Hope so. But it looks interesting so far.
As
The
Mizzy
win
now
is
pits.
on.
Mizzy retires. Mizzy's done with this race in the pits. Very unfortunate ending for the Haas driver. It looks like a potential 1-2 after qualifying. But now, that is Mizzy out of this race and only one Haas driver. So far, we have lost 4 drivers in this race, 2 of which collided in the second lap, in the second sector, trying to go for an overtake, going 3 wide into the 4th corner, I believe. That is 1, 2, 3, 4th corner. And unfortunately, the 2 drivers found themselves colliding with one another. Maverick almost flipping his car upside down.
Rico seems to be struggling in these conditions, by the way.
Who is, sorry?
Rico. And Shanae goes wide while following Rico. And the gap
Perhaps
is
the
1
dry
second.
setups aren't helping much with the Inters.
It looks like. It looks like it, yeah.
But that's what I mean, like,
Yep.
dynamic adds a level
Yep.
of unpredictability, and I think a lot of people, when they practiced, were talking about in the paddock, talking about how they always had their rain come in so late into the race. So for it to come in so
Exactly.
early, I think not a lot of drivers are expecting to have to race with such a heavy load of fuel.
Yeah. And the quali was not expected as well. Like, it started raining before anyone can put on a lap. So it's really interesting the way it rains so fast in this race.
Indeed.
And Darkness, I have some good news for you.
And what is that?
The gap is 4 seconds to the leader for Pains. So if he can cut 1 second, 1.1 second, he can potentially win the race.
We'll have to see. We are now down to the second third of this race very soon. We're gonna have 12 laps, or currently 13 laps of very exciting racing to see if, from a team principal perspective, will I see my Ferrari driver on top? But also from a commentator's perspective, are we going to have a change in constructors on the podium? Because last season, for Tier 1, we had Shanae every race. Whereas now, we are looking... Rico, but with the potential of a Mercedes up there, and the potential of a Ferrari as well. Perhaps spelled wrong, although 15.5 seconds back from the second Mercedes could be in the fight at some point soon. Who knows? It could be a double Mercedes I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to jinx someone. But it's going to be interesting, to say the least.
It's not like Aston Martin is second in the constructors. Just saying. Our team doesn't exist.
Aston Martin still yet to score points.
Yeah.
But what do you mean?
I mean, I've removed all of Aston Martin points.
Okay, brilliant.
No more Aston
You're
Martin.
welcome.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I love you till the bottom of my heart.
All goes to Ferrari. We have a yellow flag. Who is that? Spun.
The Alfa
Fortunately,
Romeo
Alfa Romeo. It is certainly a race to completely forget for the whole team. With Sinister now having another spin in this very treacherous condition. Yeah, there isn't much else to say now. Trexie, hold on a minute. Trexie, 1.2 seconds. JP had a bit of a moment coming out of that corner there. but unfortunately, Trexie could not capitalize on that mistake and catch up.
We were talking about a Ferrari podium, but Mercedes is looking to be there instead of a Ferrari, because No Sense is really close behind Pains, and he has so much ERS, and it looks like he's gonna attack on turn 3.
Credit to Pains, though. According to what he said earlier in the paddock, this is going to be his first time, or one of those few times, that he's going to race with ABS off. So kudos to him for trying it out, especially in the rain of all places.
Exactly. Such
Brilliant
difficult
defending so
conditions.
far. Unfortunately, the Mercedes driver not managing to get through around the braking zone, but now they're going to go too wide into the second sector. Pains with that inside line will continue to maintain that position. No Sense, unfortunately, not able to get around this attempt.
Oh.
As he spins coming out of the corner, fortunately...
Commentator's curse, huh?
Well, there wasn't much commentated curse. I just said it was clean racing. And that was
Yeah.
clean racing. It was him having a driver error, unfortunately. But
still, we mentioned him, right?
we mentioned him, yeah. Alright, shut up. We've got Spinay. Let me pronounce that right. Spinay catching up to Rico. 0.3 seconds behind.
Rico recharged a lot of battery in front of Shiné, surprisingly. Like,
What is
wow.
the strategy with that? I don't guess. Because he's now in the clutches of Shanae. So.
But Shiné has 30% and Rico has almost 60% ERS, so
I don't know.
I think it can play a big role,
It might. It might. All depends. We still have 10 more laps to go. It's gonna be
Exactly.
interesting.
And the rain looks like it's getting worse than ever right now.
That is also a big factor.
Getting heavier. So far, Shiné followed Rico really well. And the gap between Arturo and Pains is 7.2 seconds. So 7/10 more, and the penalty of Arturo will mean nothing. As I speak, Trexie spins.
Not Trexie.
But he's continuing the race without any damage. That's good.
We've got Zoltz as well, catching up to Kudos just ahead of him. Currently 0.4 behind. Annoyingly, being 0.4 or 1.4 seconds behind isn't much of a difference because there is no DRS for our drivers.
Exactly. But Kudos has 100% ERS. Wow. That's something. That's like DRS in wet.
ERS is quite powerful. I actually can't remember how powerful it is in the rain. Because it certainly does help you get a better exit. Because you can get through the gears quicker and you want to be in the higher gear in the rain from my experience because you avoid too much. You don't want to have a lot of wheel spin, especially in the rain. So I'm interested to know how much does ERS actually help you down a straight when you're trying to catch the driver ahead, as we see Shanae very soon to be dropping out of that 1 second range.
Yeah, it looks like Shiné is recharging a bit. Trexie gets a 3-second time penalty. But it's not going to affect anything because Kudos also has a 3-second time penalty behind him. And also, Dante follows these guys.
As there's an AlphaTauri spinning, that's Trexie gone!
Oh,
Trexie
no.
spinning coming out of that final corner, finds himself down into 12th place now. Kudos back up into 9th place. And Zoltz into the points now with Dante right on his tail. Dante fighting for that last point available on the track with 8 laps remaining. Can Dante secure one extra point for Aston Martin, or will AlphaTauri be able to walk away with at least 1 point in the bag after a quite unfortunate race weekend for them? And I agree, Webby. This is certainly a weekend to forget for the Alfa Romeo team. Very unfortunate to see how much has happened to them as a whole for Tier 2, and then obviously now with Tier 1, sorry. Tier 3 as well. I mean, they scored good points. I think one Alfa Romeo was last. The second Alfa Romeo was in 6th place. So still a good handful of points for the team in Tier 3. For me,
That is
myself,
really
Tier
close.
3, I was spinning my fair share as a Ferrari driver. So I certainly did not do much good for my team.
It's bound to happen with Ferrari Darkness. There's
Oh, it
not much
is.
you
I
can do,
have to
man.
try and break that curse, though. As Dante
Yeah.
goes for a move down the inside into the first corner. Unfortunately, not close enough to make that move stick, though. But he is certainly feisty, and he is certainly ready to continue this fight. He does appear to be I would assume, sorry, not charging. He does appear to be using his ERS for him to catch so quickly into that first corner. Are we going to see another move into this next corner, or is he too far back? I think he's too far back now.
Yeah, it looks
But
like it.
he certainly will keep up the pressure. Almost had the overtake done there.
The move was a little bit half-hearted, though. I feel like.
It was a
Hit a
lunge.
lunge.
It was
Yeah, it
certainly
was
a
a
lunge.
lunge.
But it
Yeah.
wasn't an out of the blue lunge. It was certainly one that had some reason to it. And
And
some
Trexie,
opportunities from as Trexie now retires from the race. That is our 5th retirement. Fudge now finds himself soon up into 12th place, and Sinister up into 13th as Sinister pits for a fresh set of inters.
Trexie also took the 100-meter board.
That
But
is
he's
not
very
going to be
happy.
good for a lot of the drivers who do not race with the racing line and have to judge their corners based off those braking points. This will certainly now get very interesting if drivers have to rely on those and cannot use them.
The rain got very heavier on
Has
the
it gone
last 2
heavier?
laps. Yeah, I feel like it got really
I
worse
don't think it's
than
ready
before.
for full wets though.
Yeah, I think maybe towards the end. But if the weather change happens really fast, like it happened on Quali and in this race in particular, might happen in the next 2 or 3 laps. So we might see some action because Arturo has a 5 second to serve, I believe. So if he boxes for wets, he will be held for longer than he will want to. And Dante might go for a move again on turn 1. On the inside, but this time
He makes the move stick and he's got 10th place from Zoltz.
it's a far better move than
Aston
before, and
Martin now
he's
with 2 cars in a position to collect points.
a good weekend for Aston Martin, it looks like. With both cars in points. As Dante climbed 6 positions and JP with 5. So they really fought for their points today so far.
How many penalties did he say you should have? 8 seconds for Artwem. Paynes
Yep.
is now 3 seconds behind. So currently on track for a 3rd place finish. I'm not going to say anything else. Let's move on to another driver, shall we? I'm not cursing my own driver. No, no,
That's
no.
not cursing.
No, I won't be biased and choose everyone else's driver over mine. But I certainly would like to be. As we still have Dante fighting Kudos now. Dante really wanting those points. Now, 0.3 seconds behind. 0.1 second behind. He's going for a move down the inside. Fortunately, not close enough to make that move.
Yeah. It was so far away to make a lunge this time around. I think it would have been better for him to wait for the next turn, but we'll see. As Shanae gets another 3 seconds, that makes it 6 seconds overall. Rico is looking for a potential win,
I'll get
even
rid of
though
this angle.
Janae.
Dante with a really slow exit out of the corner.
I wonder what happens.
I think he just found himself going a tad bit too wide out of that corner. But fortunately, though, still
Looks
able
like
to
he's
keep his
struggling.
car close. In fact, it's now a three-way battle for 9th place, as Zolt finds himself half a second behind. Shanae as well half a second behind. Uva now with a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Uva with 6 seconds now, but fortunately does not mean that he will lose his place to the driver behind.
Dante's struggling so much. I think it might be time for wets, as there's 3 laps remaining on this race.
I think it could be time for wets. It
Yeah,
does
even
look like the drivers are
Shanae.
struggling, but I don't think anyone's going to be willing to try it.
Yeah, too little, too late, I think.
As Dante goes for a move and into the braking zone, he has taken 9th place from Kudos. That's a brilliant move. Dante now grabbing 2 points for Aston Martin as Uva makes a move on JP. No, in fact, Uva doesn't make a move on JP. JP has spun!
Oh no.
JP has spun, but fortunately... Oh no, he hasn't kept it out the wall. He does have a missing end plate with 2 laps remaining. JP has front wing damage and does have a rapidly approaching teammate. 4.5 seconds behind. Now 4 seconds. Kudos as well is dropping back. I can't tell if Kudos, maybe the Ferrari driver, could have front wing damage or potentially. It is full wet weather. I think Kudos is going for those full wets now. Because a lot of people are dropping back from the cars ahead of them.
Exactly.
We'll have to see now. Kudos in the pits. Yeah, those are full wets. He's going for it. It is full wets weather.
It might pay off in the end for Kudos.
Dropping to 11th place. Can he make that change work, though?
As the leader goes for the 35th lap of the race, we have 2 more racing laps. So we'll see if Kudos made the wrong or the right bet with full wets in a matter of time. But it looks like people are really struggling on these conditions with intermediate tires. And Pains is looking for a really good P3 so far. A really great effort from the Ferrari guy, and Shanae almost loses it. Everyone is struggling so far.
But with only 2 laps remaining, it does not seem worth it to pit. I say that. Kudos is rapidly gaining 2 Zolts ahead of him, but I don't think he's going to gain enough time in the last 2 laps to make a move, as Dante and JP are going too wide now into the next corner. I think JP rightfully giving the corner to Dante ahead of him, whilst JP manages that front wing damage.
Good call from JP. It's better for his teammates to go through.
Indeed. No point risking a collision between the 2 drivers, especially if one has wing damage. It's already bad enough having to cope with wing damage in the rain of all situations. So why add to that and fight your teammate? Shanae within a second, though. Unfortunately, I don't think this will be a chance for him to fight for first place, as now Rico comes into the 4th corner, 1 second ahead, and has led quite considerably, quite comfortably in the lead of this race. Still a whole sector to go, so still a possible chance for him to lose his car. As you can see the back of his car be going squirrely. It is getting very wet out there on track. Rico almost losing it twice in that 3rd sector, but can he bring it home? Just 2 more corners, 1 more corner to go now, and he can finish this race where he qualified in first place. A brilliant drive by the Haas driver. Shanae finishing in second place. Artwem with those 8 seconds, although finishing on track in third place. Paynes will find himself on the podium for his first Tier 1 race here with us at Phoenix. That is a brilliant drive by the Ferrari. Then we have the reserve driver, No Sense, for Mercedes to come in and finish in 5th. That is still a very good handful of points for Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship. Next to cross the line after that, Mercedes, we will have Spalled Wrong. Unfortunate race for him. He did find himself involved in several incidents in the midst of the in the dry parts of that race. Be interesting to see what reports come of that. Uber to cross the line. Dante, because of the penalties that Uber has, Dante gets promoted up into 7th place. So even more points for the team. Absolute stellar drive for the Aston Martin driver there, and now because of JP's points as well, penalties, Zoltz finds himself up into 9th place, and Kudos last across the line, pitting 3 laps ago for those wet compound tyres. Unfortunately, was not the strategy to go for at the end of the race, and did not find himself back into the point finishing positions there.
It was a big risk, but I think it was worth the risk.
Oh, without a doubt. Considering it was only 1 point on the line, it was certainly worth the risk. Just imagine if the whole grid went spinning out, those wet tires would have been the best of the best decision that the Ferrari drivers made. That was certainly a very exciting race. I am looking forward to what interviews we may have for after this. Let's have a look at the results very quickly. We have our fastest lap going to Sense for a 1:07.3, of course, in the dry. You can set the fastest lap, but as soon as you go to those inters into the wet compound tyres, or the wet conditions, sorry, getting that fastest lap that's any faster than a 1:10 is impossible. So that is a very easy 1 point for the Mercedes duo. Certainly, without a doubt, my driver of the day personally would go to Paynes. But in terms of the absolute sheer power that he had, Dante deserves it, because he started in 16th place, made his way to 7th place, and he was making overtakes like it was nothing in the rain. The rain did not be an issue for him, and that was impressive. Pinax, Nadim, what about yourselves? Who's your driver of the day?
I think Paynes deserves to be the driver of today, but Uber also, on the other hand, he did a stellar job from starting 8. Wait, I forgot English. Wow, from 17th on the grid to P8. I think it's a brilliant racing, but also Paynes, in the other hand, his first race and it's a podium, so it's between Uber and Paynes, but I'm gonna go with Paynes.
Nadim, what about yourself?
I'm gonna go for a different driver, a driver that already is quite known for getting his podiums, and I'm gonna go with Rico. I think he drove stellar today. Even though it was quite probably a quiet race from him, I still think he drove brilliantly today in these tough conditions. So I think my vote has to go for him.
Well, let's see. Unfortunately, Rico is not in the waiting room just yet, but we do have our 2nd and 3rd place in there. So let's get our 2nd place driver in here, Shanae, who is the team principal for Williams. Shanae, how was that race for you, man? I mean, that was some impressive driving. You managed to almost get within a second towards the end of that race, but unfortunately, because obviously it's the rain, you couldn't catch up. How was that for you?
Yeah, I think I went pretty cautious on my qualifying lap because it was raining already on the first run, and I just wanted to get a lap in. So yeah, I ended up in P4. That's unfortunate. But yeah, I made a beautiful move though for P3, I think, and yeah, I think Kudos missed his pit lane. Like pit lane lines and just went straight into the final corner, and so that lost me a little bit of time on my outlap, and yeah, we came along. Rico come out from the pits alongside with me, and he got the inside line, so that's unfortunate. And I couldn't overtake in the rain. I was trying to harvest some battery and then attack him sometimes. You could see me closing in to 4/10 or something like this, and I couldn't make a move. So yeah, GG to Rico, very good drive. He was very quick.
You looking forward to Australia next week? Do you think that could be an opportunity for you to get a race victory again? Come back to the joys
Australia.
of. You think you'll spin?
I might do the spinner.
But you're not in the Ferrari. You're not in the Forza. You're in a Williams. You should be going on the hard compound tires all the way to the end of the race.
It's all about the curbs in Australia, because sometimes it's good and sometimes I'm not gonna finish it, but
yeah, I think we all know.
Well,
it's just very random.
It is very random. Well, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for a very exciting battle, both in the dry and in the rain. And I certainly look forward to seeing what you have for us in terms of your spin success at Australia next week.
Looking forward to it, man.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, man. Bye.
Let's get ourselves our third place winner, Paynes, reserving in for Tier 1 with Ferrari. Mate, that was a stellar drive. How was the race for you?
Probably the most challenging race I've had so far in this year's game. It's my first race with ABS off, so it was first time driving in the wet as well with ABS off. So I haven't done any practice in the rain, so it was tough, but it was fun.
You, if I remember correctly, you mentioned earlier that you haven't practiced with ABS off as well, or you haven't raced with ABS off. So how was that?
That was like biggest challenge this race was just trying to not lock up. I locked up way too many times, and I was making moves and making up time, and then I would lock up 2 laps later and just lose all of the good work I did. So need definitely if I'm here next week for Tier 1, make sure I practice more because the consistency was not there.
Certainly, but I mean, the consistency was there more or less. You managed to still cut that time down towards the end of the race in the crucial moments of the race and secure yourself that third place podium finish. There's still very impressive drive. You looking forward to Australia next week? Do you think that's a stronger track for you compared to Austria?
I haven't done Australia at all in this game, so
oh, wonderful.
I guess, I'll go and practice that and find out.
Awesome. Well, Pinex, Nadim, do you guys have any questions?
I certainly have a question about the weather towards the end. Was it a wet weather condition towards the end? Because it seemed like people really started to struggle, especially on the last 2 laps.
Yeah, it definitely was getting well. I think my teammate was on the full wets at the end there.
Yeah.
I think gave a couple more laps and people in inters would have been screwed.
Yeah, it looks like it because like people were really struggling all over the grid, but you kept it really well. So good job with the P3 man.
Yeah, I think the car control was crucial there towards the end because when I was catching up to I think it was Shiny or the Mercedes.
Yeah,
he was
losing it almost.
Yeah, exactly.
But you kept it really well, so yeah, really great, solid race.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for a very interesting race. And thank you as a team principal for a podium finish. Very good handful of points for Ferrari. We look forward to seeing you next week. Hopefully, you do sign with us. No pressure. We're on stream. You got to sign for Ferrari. But thank you for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you at Australia next week.
Thanks, See ya.
Ciao. Well, that was certainly an interesting race. I would love to have a conversation with Maverick if it was possible to find out what happened there and what his thoughts were on that collision. But I think it certainly was I can understand it being a heated moment considering what happened and how quickly things went sideways or almost upside down in Maverick's case there. But no, that was fun. I really enjoyed that race. Thank you for joining me, Nadim and Pineax, for the commentating today. Pineax, please join me
no
next
worries.
time. That was a lot of fun. I do look forward to doing it again with you.
Yeah, I had fun as well. Thank you for letting me in to the commentators box.
And we will conclude the stream there, and we will see you guys next week for Australia. The weather will be announced tomorrow morning in the server, so be sure to get your practice in and get ready for Australia, the land upside down. Until next time, ciao.